And we are recording. Welcome, everyone. This is your host, Abraham L. Jaguar, a professional game master. First of all, this channel is proudly sponsored by the Red Room Publishing. Please check out their store for exclusive tabletop RPG products. They have recently released the New Flesh, a future noir tabletop RPG where cyberpunk meets biological horror. You will find the links in the link in the description and in the pinned comment. This channel is also proudly sponsored by Dead Tree Studios, the publishers and developers of Dames of Asstoria, tabletop RPG where you play as monster girls, experiencing high adventure in a world that doesn't fully accept them. They have recently released the Whispers of Copperreach adventure module. You will find the links in the description and in the pinned comment as well. This channel is proudly partnered with the What the Funk shop. Please check out their store for all sorts of products. They have dice, miniatures, game master screens, home decorations, and many other things. You will find the link in the description and in the pinned comment too. And make sure that you use my code for a special discount. This time, I want to talk about the narrative error in tabletop RPGs. What do I mean by this? I've seen this several times throughout the years. Players that try to separate narrative or narration from combat. And I've seen it in some tabletop RPGs, for example, Beacon. Excellent tabletop RPG inspired by Final Fantasy XIV, but that's one of my criticisms. Final Fantasy XIV, they divide combat play and narrative play. I understand why it is done, but there is a certain distortion of concepts. When you engage in battle in tabletop RPGs, you are creating a narrative. And remember, you are not telling stories. You're not telling the story of Bob the fighter approached the orc in front of him. He cut with his sword, and then the sword drew blood from the orc's forehead, and then he backed away. No, you describe your actions. Something happens. Maybe you need to make a roll. Maybe the enemies react. It's a back and forth. You're not telling a story. You're taking action. You're experiencing the game world. But in terms of narrative, combat cannot occur in tabletop RPGs unless you describe your actions. And I've seen some awful sessions out there when they are not describing anything. The game master is like, "Oh, your turn. Hey, Jimmy, you're up, Jimmy." And Jimmy just rolls. He doesn't tell. He doesn't describe. He doesn't describe the way that the character is attacking this enemy or that other enemy. And it doesn't need to be so complex, too complex. I swing my axe at the orc in front of me. Or I swing my axe at the orc's head. Right? Depending on the game, there are some games that require you to specify if you are making a targeted attack, if you are aiming at a specific part of the body, or if you're just attacking the enemy in general. Sometimes those results are randomly decided. Oh, you scored a hit, and you make a roll to see what part of the body you managed to hit in the chaos of combat. So it's as simple as that. Whenever you run combats in tabletop RPGs, you are describing your actions. You're not just rolling. I hit, I miss, I hit, I miss. You are sidestepping. I push forward and unleash a barrage of hammer blows against my opponent's shield. Maybe you make your roll. Maybe you break the shield. You are always describing your actions. If you are a wizard, I point at the enemy to my right and mention the arcane words that mean only death. I cast Putrescent Demise on the kobold to my right. As simple as that. That would be overkill, right? The poor kobold getting such a powerful spell cast upon him. But like I said, there is a narrative in combat. When someone separates narrative from combat, that tells us that person is not describing their actions. That is, the game master is not describing the actions of the non-player characters in combat, and he's not encouraging the players to describe their actions in combat. So combat produces a narrative. You are narrating sometimes the results, sometimes the actions of what happens during the battle. So it is so incorrect when there is any sort of player that, oh, you have combat play and you have narrative play. And like I said, in some tabletop RPGs they have to do that distinction. For example, in the Beacon tabletop RPG, there is this switch of modes like a video game. It tries to represent a video game type of experience. You know, the typical RPG when you are walking around and suddenly, oh, random encounter, and you see the characters moving to one side of the screen. Oh, you can almost imagine that, and the mode switches dramatically. But apart from those very specific video game representation moments, narrative always occurs in tabletop RPGs. It is a constant. Narrative is constant throughout the entire session, from beginning to start. There is no interruption in narrative. The results of the attacks have to do with the narrative. You make those rolls because of the narrative. Sometimes because of the context. You don't even need to make those rolls. So there is truly a distortion of what is a narrative, what is combat. There is, it's the same. The combat has been narrated. The combat is narrated in a tabletop RPG session. So I hope this video was informative and entertaining, and perhaps it encourages others to actually describe their actions, to narrate their actions in combat, and not just Tommy, you're up, Bobby, you're up. Let that narrative flow. And this has been your host, Abraham L. Jaguar. Thank you so much for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, consider joining as a member using the super thanks button. Like, subscribe, take a look at the information in the description, the pinned comment. And remember, it is better to roleplay and fail in character than not to roleplay and fail as a player. Especially in combat, you're going to be failing in combat. Your attacks are going to be missing the mark. You're going to get wounded. So don't be afraid of that. That's part of the game. It's okay. It's okay to miss those rolls, to miss those attacks. Once again, thank you and see you later.